Coming up on F1 24/7 this week, Kyalami's F1 return is likely according to F1 bosses, Mattia Binotto on Ferrari's start to 2022, Monaco GP is in talks over a new contract, and Pirelli reveal their tyre choices for the next 4 rounds. So first up, there's a good chance Kyalami could be returning to the Formula 1 calendar. The South African Grand Prix has been missing from the F1 calendar since 1993 and it's in high demand by F1 fans to make a return. Now recently we've seen a lot of new Grand Prix being added to the calendar. Of course, we're going to Miami in a couple of weeks. We've seen Saudi Arabia, we've seen Qatar, as well as other tracks making a return. We've got Imola back on the calendar, which is brilliant. We're going back to China, I think, supposedly next year. So there's a lot of changes going on in the F1 calendar, and that's ever since Liberty Media took over back in 2017. Now, Africa is the only continent that Formula 1 does not go to, and it calls itself a World Championship, but it doesn't go to every single continent. That's something that's been echoed by F1 fans and even 7-time world champion Sir Lewis Hamilton. He's addressed that Formula 1 needs to go to Africa, South Africa to be more precise, if it wants to class itself as a world championship. Now this is something that everybody, all the F1 fans have been talking about for quite a few years, about the possible return of Kyalami. And I think this is probably the closest that we've got for it to actually be announced. I think F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali is interested in bringing it back. He knows that there is interest there to bring Kyalami back, but it's not straightforward as to go, I'll tell you what, the next year we will go to Kyalami, because the track itself needs some changes. So currently it's a grade 2 listed circuit, which means it's not quite there for Formula 1. Every single F1 racetrack that Formula 1 goes to, of course, has to be grade 1 listed. I've had a look at the track from pictures that I've seen on Google Images and other various places. It does need some more grandstands added, like Zandvoort did when that came back onto the calendar a couple of years ago. That sort of got new, renovations to it, which ultimately did pay off in the end. I mean, like I said, the demand was high to go back to Zandvoort, as is the demand to go back to South Africa. And not just grandstands as well, it of course needs extra runoff areas, I've read, tyre barriers need to be installed, marshalling posts, etc. All that needs to be, safety procedures of course needs to be at its high standard, hence why it needs that grade 1 certificate if it wants to host an F1 race. Toby Venter is the owner of the racetrack. He bought it back in 2014 and he's made some extra changes to the circuit. It fell into a bit of disrepair quite recently, as far back as 10-15 years ago. It hosted a variety of motorsport races after F1 left there in 1993. Like I said, it fell into a bit of disrepair. Toby Venter bought it and now he's planning to bring Formula 1 back to Kyalami. Now personally, I've been wanting to go to Kyalami for quite some time. I wasn't even around the last time F1 raced in South Africa, and it's something that a lot of us can agree on. Like I've said in many posts on social media and stuff like that, I've said about us going to different locations, like we're going to Saudi Arabia, we're going to Qatar, we're going to Miami and all this, we're going to Las Vegas next year. So and everyone's sort of been divided on the whole thing. Like, I don't know why we're going here when we've got a perfect racetrack here. Like Kyalami is one of those that's always brought up, or Malaysia is another one that is brought up on a variety of debates. So Kyalami definitely needs to come back on the F1 calendar. I really hope it does do that. It looks like a brilliant racetrack as well, which can provide some entertaining races. Now, the earliest it can host an F1 race is 2024, because like I said many times before, it needs those changes for it to be a grade 1 listed circuit. So it might not come back in 2024. It could be 2025. I think it will eventually. I want to guess at 2025. That's the year I'm going to say it might return. Let me know your opinions on this in the comment section below. Are you happy to see Kyalami return? I think we can probably all agree on this, that we are happy and we do want to see the South African Grand Prix back on the F1 calendar. So Mattia Binotto has been speaking about Ferrari's start to the 2022 F1 season, and I don't think it's going to come as a surprise that he's not disappointed. Ferrari have won 2 of the opening 3 races this season, and it's got a car that looks like it could go all the way to winning a championship. they currently have a 39-point lead over reigning champions Mercedes already. Now that is impressive, bearing in mind how dominant Mercedes have been in the sport over those 8 years. And to make things even better, this is Ferrari's best ever start to an F1 season. 104 points they have accumulated already in 3 races, just 2 points more than they achieved in 2017. Now, if you remember over the winter, there was a lot of positive talks coming out of Maranello, with Ferrari expressing how they've changed the engine, how it's more powerful, how it's more reliable. I think they said an extra 20 horsepower has been gained with the current power unit, that the car is coming along really, really nicely. But despite all this, Binotto has come out this week and said that he wasn't expecting this good of a start, because not only have Ferrari won 2 of the opening 3 races, that car looks very, very quick. Now, I don't know how true this is, but Ferrari have said, or Binotto has said rather, that the car can go a lot faster, that the car that they brought to Australia was the same car that they ran in Barcelona. Now that's like over a month and a half, and there's been no development on this car, and the car is this quick already, and it's only going to get quicker. I mean, that is just incredible. That's only if those rumours are true. Now this week, Binotto sat down with the Motorsport Week and said this: "Yes, we are certainly surprised. I think we worked hard and put a lot of priority on the 2022 car. I knew that the team was a great team and we improved ourselves compared to the past seasons and was hoping to have a competitive car at the start of the season. When coming into winter testing, we had a competitive car, but certainly I wasn't expecting such a good start of the season. I think it would be unfair to think that. I still believe the difference between us and the others can be very little. It will be a great fight in the next races, certainly." So Binotto there speaking about Ferrari's start to the season. I think a lot of us have been quite surprised with Ferrari's start already, how quick that car was, because we all know, we've been there before, especially as recently as 2017 and 2018. Ferrari turned up to the test. They looked like they had a really good car, a very quick car. Even 2019, for example, as well. That's another one you could include. And when it got to the first race, after having such a good test, they looked quick, they had most mileage, all that stuff. They had the quickest time in test. They would turn to the first race, and all of a sudden they'll be a second and a half behind Mercedes. Well, that's 2019's example. 2018 and 17, Mercedes, they looked like they had the upper hand. Mercedes sort of clawed it back. But then with a good race car and, I think there was a virtual safety car included in 2018's, with a bit of luck, Ferrari ended up winning the first races of the season in those years, and even the second race in 2018. But as the season progressed, it sort of fell apart for Ferrari. Bad reliability, bad strategy, and some bad driving from Sebastian Vettel. And that ultimately ended their chances of winning the championships in those years, both drivers and constructors. But this season is giving off a different vibe. There's so much more positivity coming out of the team. And not only that, you look at the likes of Mercedes, they are not on the same level as Ferrari at this current time. They're struggling with their porpoise, and they are, struggling to understand their car. And the same goes with Red Bull. Yes, they have got their porpoise sorted. In fact, they probably handle it better than what Ferrari do. But the problem with Red Bull at this moment in time is reliability. Max Verstappen has retired 2 out of the 3 Grand Prix in 2022, which is not a good start, but you don't need me to tell you that. So there's no one really there to compete with Ferrari. So they've got a really good chance to extend that to as far as they can, because it might get to a certain point where Mercedes understand their car better. Once they've solved their porpoising issues and all that, they might have a car that is just as quick, if not quicker, than the Ferrari. By which time it could be too little, too late, and Mercedes have just missed out on the championships overall. It is a long season. It is still early doors. I don't want to get too excited because I'm not a Ferrari fan as such. But I like Ferrari. I think I want them to see them return to the top. I like Charles Leclerc. I've been a big fan of his since his F3 and F2 days. So I want to see him win races. Carlos Sainz, I like Carlos Sainz, a very good driver. Did so well at McLaren, my team. I want to see him do very well. So, but at the same time, as from a neutral's perspective, I do want to see, not one team run away with it. I know that. It's good to see someone different, but I thought the same about Mercedes when they won it in 2014. Like, it got to a point where it was a bit like, yeah, all right, we didn't want the Red Bull domination again, but now we've got the Mercedes domination. So again, we're in the same boat, just with a different team and a different driver. But I think Red Bull and Mercedes will end up catching up at the front. McLaren, maybe not. I don't think McLaren will have that much of a gain during the course of the season, but we'll wait and see. But I think it is going to be mainly Ferrari at the front, with the two, with Red Bull and Mercedes coming up close behind them. But like I said, I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but it has been a very, very good start of the season for Ferrari. So next up, recently, the future of the Monaco Grand Prix has been put in doubt. With the Las Vegas Grand Prix being introduced next year, it means F1 has reached its limit of 24 races in a single season. With Qatar being added and China making a return, some races are going to have to be dropped. Now, one of them Grand Prix in the mix of being dropped is the Monaco Grand Prix. Now, this is a racetrack that really does split the entire F1 base in half. One half want it removed because there's lack of overtaking, it's boring, only qualifying is entertaining. However, the other half want it to stay there because simply it's Monaco. It's been there since 1950. It's one of the original racetracks. Now, the president of the Automobile Club de Monaco, Michel Bouwerie, I think I've said that right, has rubbished those talks apparently and has said that he's confident Monaco can extend its contract with Formula 1. Its current deal runs out in 2022, but Michel has turned around and said that he thinks that Monaco can extend its contract and remain on the F1 calendar. Now, one of the things about Monaco is apparently it doesn't have a hosting fee, so it doesn't pay Formula 1 anything to host a Grand Prix, because apparently the event itself draws in enough money so that it doesn't have to pay F1 anything. But apparently Stefano Domenicali, the new F1 CEO, has turned around and said that that is not enough anymore and that they're going to have to cough up some sort of money. But when I was looking this up, apparently it says somewhere that Monaco do pay $15 million of a hosting fee, which is the lowest out of anyone on the current calendar. I have heard that they don't pay F1 anything to host a Grand Prix, but there's a variety of other sources to say it does. I don't know which one is true, but from what I've heard over the years, that Monaco is the only racetrack that doesn't pay F1 anything. Now, I'm not going to sit here and go really in depth and give my actual thought on whether I think Monaco should stay or whether it should go, because I've got a video in the works that I will release around the Monaco Grand Prix, whether it extends its contract or not by then, which I'll release like I said, around that time. So I won't say anything about giving it my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. Do you want Monaco to be dropped from the F1 calendar? And if so, give your reasons why. And now, I kind of give you reasons if you think, no, it should not be dropped. But I kind of know why those reasons are. But leave me your opinions about this in the comment section below. And finally, Pirelli have announced its tyre ranges for the next 4 Grand Prix: the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, the Miami Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix, and the Monaco Grand Prix. Emilia-Romagna will have the C4, C3 and C2 tyres. Miami will have the exact same compounds, C4, C3 and C2. Spain will go for the hardest set available, the C3, the C2 and the C1. And then reverse that, Monaco is going to be on the softest compound of tyres available, the C5, the C4 and the C3. Now, that was a bit of a short segment, but that one was for the guys that do like to see what tyres is being brought to each Grand Prix. So yeah, that one was for you, and of course I'm a little interested as well. So I just thought, you know what, I'll just do that one a little bit at the end. But guys, I'll end the news here. Thank you so much for watching as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe as always as well. Comment below your opinions about anything I've said throughout the 4 news stories, and links to all the articles I've used in this video is in the description below, with the tags of the people who did write these. If I can find their Twitter, I'll do the links, and I'll also do a link to their Twitter too, because yeah, I don't want to be taking full credit for these stories. These, of course, proper journalists who do get paid for this and do a brilliant job. So go and give them go and read them for yourselves, to go even more in depth than what I've just did, and give them the right credit that they deserve. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.